Blog health. We're going to talk about PBN blogs, how to keep them healthy and indexed, how we're doing it at PBNbacklinks.com. Just going to dive right into this short video. I'm showing you an example blog. May or may not be relevant by the time you watch it, but the principles will endure. So, again, we're going to talk about how we are keeping our blogs indexed, healthy, helping rankings for ourselves and clients. So the first assumption we're going to make is that we picked a good domain name, right? We got a good domain. We bought a domain, whether it was a trusted expired domain or an auction domain, right? And that is so critical that that will be another video. If we did not get that part right, none of this matters. This part doesn't matter. The content creation video, as beautiful as that is, does not matter either. Let's just assume, for all intents and purposes, that we bought a clean, healthy, age trusted domain, and all we have to do now is just leverage the hell out of it and keep it healthy. So the first thing we do when we get a blog or a website is, this is going to be a little out of order, but we get hosting, obviously. And how are we getting hosting? So we're getting unique hosting for this, a unique IP for every single blog that we set up. Now, most don't do this. If you actually dive into some of these other freelancer websites, as I have done, as you see in the other video about how shitty Fiverr SEO is, you can see that a lot of those sellers are actually using a farm where it's just one to 10 IPs, and there's 50 blogs on each one. So they don't care. They're in it to trick you and I and everyone else who's willing to buy that nonsense. So we're doing this for ourselves. So we're obviously we're not going to trick ourselves, right? That'd be silly. So every single blog on the network is on a unique IP, right? Which is first and foremost. Then what do? We set it up with a unique theme, right? So we try not to use the same themes over and over again. We use popular ones. We use all different types of themes, but basically we use a different theme. It's not necessarily for a visual standpoint. It's for the source code. We don't want any footprints. If we just use the 2015 theme, 2016 WordPress, whatever, all these popular themes over and over and over again, it's going to be a footprint. So we're not putting all our eggs in one basket ever, right? Especially with themes. So a theme, remember him? So we're going to get a unique theme on each blog that we set up. And we also want to get to the next step. So did I mention this? I hope I didn't. SSL. So most PBNs do not have SSL. One, it costs money to get an SSL certificate, and two, it takes time to set it up. It's a bit of a pain in the ass. Most people, even websites that are SSL, I won't say most, but a large majority of sites on the internet that are even SSL are not even encrypted properly, right? So they have insecure items on not only their homepage perhaps, but maybe on an inner page. So literally we went through every single blog in the network, and we went to not only the homepage, but we also went through inner pages just to make sure that the search engines said it was still secure. So you notice how it still says secure? If it's not secure, it would show you that it's not secure, right? Sound like a Yogi Berra quote there. But it's true, right? You have to be secure not only on the homepage, but all your inner pages as well. So, it'll be an anomaly if it's not secure on all pages. But 100% of our blogs have SSL, and if one or two have slipped through the cracks, please just submit a ticket, and we'll make sure we'll get SSL on there as well. So that's been a huge win, because not even most real websites, whatever the hell a real website is, are SSL. So that's a big win. It's moving away from what a PBN is to what, a quality, quote unquote, real website is. Next thing, I went over website theme and setup. That includes unique hosting. So it's such a pain to keep track of everything with the hosting. Where's everything hosted at? So we do this in Excel. We're trying to get the best deals always possible on hosting packages and plans. We're not going through cheap SEO hosting, right? That that is a no-go. That is a surefire way to having your whole network turned and burned within a year, 2 or 3 max, right? So we've been around longer than 3 years. We want to make sure that we stay here, and we do that by paying a premium, but yet getting good deals on hosting as well. So we also want to stay consistent to the past. So every website or domain that was once a website in the past has a history, or it should. And I'll go over that in the vetting process more thoroughly. But basically, if this website was about anime and video games, we don't want to just turn it into a business website. That would be silly. It's confusing the search engines and Google, and they'll say, you know what, we don't know if we can trust this anymore. It was once this thing, but now it's this thing. Let's keep an eye on it. And then guess what? Once they start putting an eye on something, it's not going to end well. Next thing you know, it's de-indexed. So we've taken a different approach. So this also ties into, I'll tie it into brand identity. So what we do is we go back into the archive, and if the archive doesn't exist, not all websites have archive history. We typically won't scoop the domain up, right? Because we want to make sure that we're in this for the long haul. We want the domain to have had history, at least enough trust to become indexed in the Wayback Machine, archive.org. So we take all that content and we strip out all the code and we repurpose it and add it to the homepage. We also add things that are relevant at the time for embeds. So you can see this blog was set up about 2 years ago. So here's a Facebook embed, here's an Instagram embed. Not all of them have embeds, but we're just always trying to move away from what a typical PBN or fake website would look like towards a more quality website. And here's another thing we've been doing. Seems a little cheesy, but you'll understand why we're doing it. So every single domain and website that we build out is assigned a brand, a profile, right? So this is Jaquez Hilbert Spring Forward Group. This little spiel here, this little paragraph, right? It's a little fictitious story, and we do that for a few reasons. Because the search engines are very good at understanding associations. So whenever we're going to have this association out there, this name, this fictitious name, and the name of the domain, we are going to create, in the eyes of search engines, consistency, trust, and brandability and associations. So the search engines don't really, quote unquote, know McDonald's is a brand, but it's fed an insane amount of data points that it is a brand, right? Knowledge graph, rank brain, all these different things, associations. So search engines don't start off knowing that fish and water are separate but inseparable, but through all their algorithms and years of history, they start to understand it. So that is the methodology behind this. Every single blog gets its own little mini brand. As weak as it is, it's stronger than not having any. Most do not do this step, right? Some would say this is a little paranoia, but it doesn't matter. You understand the value of it. You understand our paranoia. So we're going to just, this segues into IFTT, if this, then that. So we set up IFTT on different platforms, on different social platforms. So whenever we create a post on our blog, it's syndicated out on these profiles. Now, we don't just do it on the main ones. Some of these get deleted just because it is a PBN, right? Don't get me wrong. The blogs get deleted few and far between, which is important. But the social profiles, they can kind of come and go. This one actually, for whatever reason, has stuck, which is good. So you can see it has a Facebook. This blog has a Google+. This blog has a Pinterest. This blog has a Twitter. So there's actually hundreds on our list that we have that we've given to a VA, and we've trained them how to do it very, very efficiently, how to go out and create using our little story on all these different third-party websites, on profiles, forums, directories, anything that is cost effective that we can get it listed on, we do that to link it back to our website. It's just an added step. It's an added layer, because what happens is the search engines will pick up maybe 1 to 100 of these and say, you know what, maybe on the 5th it doesn't care, or the 6th, but by the time it hits 30, it's going to go, wow, Jaquez Hilbert Spring Forward Group, that's one hell of a brand, right? So that's the point of that. Went over IFTP, we went over hosting. Okay, so the next thing we want to discuss is how are we further separating ourselves? So most people will get a post on a guest post or a PBN, private blog, and that'll be the end of it, right? There's never any traffic driven to that website or to that blog. There's never any real traffic, referral traffic sent through it. So since we're integrating also with crowd search. Crowd search, as you know, is the leader in driving referral traffic. You know, it's ingenious. People are installing it on their mobile phones, the app's running in the background, and we're sending all this traffic throughout the interwebs to our blogs. And the reason we're doing that is because the search engines are tracking everything online, right? Through Firefox, Chrome, different extensions, Google Analytics, all these different PWIC, all these different Bing. They're tracking traffic and they're tracking clicks and interactions. So if you were to get this post live on a typical PBN and you didn't drive any traffic through it, it would be just like everyone else's. It may or may not get indexed. It may or may not have any value. It may or may not help at all. But because we're driving traffic through it, all of a sudden the search engines recognize and track that. And they'll say, well, somebody came to this page, they scrolled down, which is an interaction of sorts, and then they clicked on the video. Maybe they watched the video, or maybe they clicked on a link. So we have traffic interacting with every single post. Now, you can add that as a feature in your dashboard for every single post. Most who are looking to do this on a serious level are doing all the add-ons because they're always trying to move their own clients' websites or their own private blog posts away from the typical freelancer nonsense spam that you see. So most freelancers aren't doing any of this stuff. They're just throwing up a website, throwing up a link, and that's that. We're taking the opposite approach. So the next thing is indexing. So while our index rate is super high without this feature, we actually allow you to integrate your post, your unique post, with BacklinksIndexer. And what that does is it sends it through BacklinksIndexer to get indexed and also boosted up. So it's super, super powerful, and you're just ensuring that your post is not only indexed, but also the most trusted it can be. We also add another layer, social. So we have a service where you can get people to like your posts or your website, your web pages on Facebook, on Google Plus, on Pinterest, on Twitter, all these different things, right? So this feature allows you to integrate with the back end of this software to get social network signals to your specific post, which is infinitely powerful, right? So now we're checking a lot of boxes, right? Not only is the content really, really good, you can look at the content video for that, for how I define good and why it's valuable, but you can also see how we're moving away from doing all these things on a micro level: traffic, index rate, social signals, IFTT, HTTPS. I also want to say that we monitor our blogs heavily. So every month we do a full audit of our network, which a lot of people don't do. I've bought many PBNs, guest posts, whatever you want to call them. I bought many of that from reputable, quote unquote, reputable sellers on freelancer websites, and it turned out that it was actually on arrival de-indexed, right? So it just shows you how little effort is actually going into the longevity of some of these other sellers. So we actually monitor and make sure that the blog itself, the homepage, is indexed, because if the homepage isn't indexed, the whole thing is a loss. We get rid of it, we delete it, and we archive it. So we make sure that never look at that domain again. It's dead to us. Our rate of de-indexation is well below the industry average. It is very, very low. We have posts that have been around for years and years and years and years, and that is the goal, right? We do not want to spin our wheels. We're spending so much money on setup that it would be very, very inefficient for us to have a churn and burn model. Between SSL alone, the affordable yet quality hosting, unique IP hosting, all these different checks and balances. I'm actually going to go into more of how, from start to finish, when we get a domain to when you first get your first post, what happens in between that time, which is actually pretty damn cool. I'm going to show you some pretty cool things that we're doing for that too. But yeah, everything we want to do, we want to move away from churn and burn. So we monitor it, but also we monitor the index size. So for example, if a blog had 500 posts indexed today, but tomorrow or next month rather, it had 400, and the month after that it had 250, we would say, well, what's going on here? It's trending in the wrong direction. We either are going to give it one more month, we're going to try to fix it and give it a month. We'll throw a Hail Mary at it. And if it doesn't get fixed, it's gone, right? It's not enough to just have the homepage of a website indexed. It has to have, the numbers have to be going in the right direction. They have to be growing. And we're monitoring that month to month. And we have historical data on all of these metrics that matter. We're also adding another thing which is really cool, which is bot Nemesis. It blocks bots. Ahrefs, Majestic, SEMrush, right? We use these tools ourselves. So the reason we're doing this is we don't want competitors to reverse engineer what you're doing for yourself or clients as easily. Now, some, Detective Drew might exist out there and figure something out, but who cares? This is just a 99% solution. There are always going to be somebody in there who's borderline serial killer figuring out what the hell's going on. But this is to block the masses. It's really effective. And it's also part of the reason why when I go over the vetting process, you'll see, even though we get really high quality websites, and they still are, the metrics can fall off because we are blocking the bots that are telling us what the domain authority is and trust flow and things like this, right? So that is a reason why you can't just be blind to metrics. At the time of purchase, metrics matter, but after that, the only metric that you should really be concerned with is the blog growing in size, is it staying indexed, and our rankings increasing. Those are the three biggest signals to quality, right? If you just want to look at a static metric such as domain authority or trust flow, you're going to run into a lot of problems because we're doing our best to actually block this stuff so people can't find it out. Okay, and then we also do another layer, which is promotional upkeep. We don't do this as often. We do this quarterly. And what this is we do a buy for every single blog. We buy different things that are relatively cheap but effective. So we may buy from other PBNs, actually, links to our own PBN. We'll buy profile links back to the website. We'll do social bookmarks as well. This is kind of just to keep the flow going of the website. It's getting traffic, it's getting all these things to it, so we're able to do this. If this was just a dead typical PBN with no traffic, barely any embeds and things like that, please look at the content creation video for more on that. Then you will understand that that would actually hurt more than help. But because we're doing all the right things, we're actually able to promote this occasionally, like I said, quarterly, just to throw enough at it, just so that it stays in this index and stays in the search engine's good graces. Okay, so I thought this video is actually going to be a lot shorter. I hope we jam-packed it with a lot of value. You should have a really good understanding of how we are separating ourselves from our competition and the mindset behind it. At the end of the day, it is, a private blog network. It is, a site for guest posts and things like that. You are buying links at the end of the day. But that doesn't mean we can't do everything in our power to move it away from the typical nonsense freelancer stuff to a more sustainable, SaaS type product, which is what we have been going on now for over 3 years. So again, thank you very much for looking at the video. Please look at the other videos if you haven't had a chance to yet on the channel. And I hope you have an awesome day. And if you have any questions at all, you can always reach out to our support team. Within your dashboard, there's a support ticket system. So all you have to do is just click it and fill out whatever your question is, and someone will get back to you in a timely manner. We appreciate your business, and we're going to keep our blogs healthy for you, and we're going to get awesome results. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.